Welcome, everyone. It's Dan DeMay in Sarasota, Florida. Thanks for joining us for a special installment of the Axle Me Training broadcast series. Boy, it is always so much fun to bring back returning faculty members. And today is one of those experiences we get to have because we're bringing back Rebecca Major from the home office as one of our returning faculty members on this broadcast. Hey, Rebecca, welcome back.
Thank you. So good to be back.
Well, it's great to have you. We were chatting right before we went live, and it has been literally 12 months, 1 year since the two of us got together on this broadcast and talked about some great scientific things, and the time has really flown. But boy, your return visit today is just impeccable in terms of its timing. And I'm going to explain to our audience what I mean by that in just a moment's time. But first, let me share a little bit about your background and your bio because some of those folks may not have been with us a year ago when you were with us. I think on three successive installments, you were like on a roll, sharing all your great expertise back then, and now we're going to bring it back for our audience today. So Rebecca Major is an education and research senior scientist with the Pharmanex division of Nu Skin Enterprises. Now, she started her career with the company in 2011. Her primary responsibility is to educate and share the science behind Nu Skin's dietary supplements. She also researches new and exciting areas for future product development. Now, Rebecca's responsibilities require close collaboration with other Pharmanex R&D scientists and market staff, as well as many other departments. And she worked in several different positions at Nu Skin before her current position, giving her really a broad understanding of the product development and marketing process to complement her in-depth knowledge of the Pharmanex products. Now, Rebecca obtained her degree in neuroscience from Brigham Young University. Her passion for learning and a diverse professional background have really made Rebecca a valuable asset to Nu Skin during her 14 years with the company. So we're really pleased and proud and happy to have Rebecca come back and join us on this broadcast because, as I said, her timing is impeccable. Rebecca, welcome back. Glad to see you again.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. I'm so excited for today's topic.
Today's topic is absolutely perfect. Rebecca, I mentioned you are a returning faculty member, yet it's been a full year, as I also said, since we've had the pleasure of working together on this broadcast. I believe it's no small coincidence that in our discussion in 2024, we were talking about the biophotonic scanner, on which you're an expert. And 1 year later, here we are today to have a discussion about PRYSM IO, on which you're also an expert. So this is a fantastic segue from biophotonic scanner into PRYSM with the person who knows the most about both of those amazing pieces of technology. So let's talk about PRYSM IO from your perspective as the company's education and research senior scientist. Where would you like to begin with that discussion?
Well, thank you so much for that great introduction. I do have some slides that I can share if that's
Excellent.
cool with you.
Perfect. Thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, I want to start actually by kind of giving a little bit of a refresher. It might be new to some people, but I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a refresher on what is kind of the underlying problem we're trying to solve here with the Prism IO. And so we'll start there and then we'll dig into what the Prism IO measures and why that matters and how you can use that to really drive both your business and but also improve your own health and wellness. So
Excellent.
that's kind of the gist of it. So let's dive right in.
Good.
So really what I want to start with is explaining what oxidative stress is. So we get exposed to oxidative stressors every day. They're things that we get exposed to through choices that we make, through things that we choose to eat, through our environment. But the net result is all of those oxidative stressors have an impact on our body, have a negative impact, right? They put stress on our cells, they damage those cells, and that really adds up and it can have a detrimental effect over time. You might not feel it after 1 day or even a year, but you add that up over decades and it really makes a huge difference. So, what do I mean by these oxidative stressors? Like, let's talk about some examples. So, we have lifestyle choices. These are things you kind of have some control over, right? Whether you choose to smoke, drink alcohol, the quality of your diet plays a big role, how active we are, all of those influence how they can be sources of oxidative stressors, right? So, for example, smoking, has generates just a ton of free radical damage and a ton of oxidative stress in our bodies, and that's one reason why it's so detrimental to people's health, right? Um, but you multiply that across multiple different lifestyle choices, and you can see how that really adds up.
Mm.
But it's not, so we do have some control over that. And, we try and make the best choices we can. But there are some things we maybe don't have as much control over, right? Our exposure to pollution, pesticides, sun exposure, things like that, maybe is a little bit less in our control. And then, of course, we have our diet, choosing the easy thing, the high processed foods, the high fat,
Mm.
tasty things, like that also can cause oxidative stress. Uh, of course, it's in the name too, stress. So, sources of emotional stress, sources of physical stress also, contribute to this. And then, not getting enough sleep. So, really, if you think about it, all of the different things that make you feel kind of terrible
Mm.
make you feel terrible for a reason, right? They're
Mhm.
making you feel terrible because they're causing, at least in part, because they're causing oxidative stress in your body. You're damaging those cells in your body, and that's taking a toll.
Let me ask you a quick question about oxidative stress because it is so rampant, especially in Western culture, it seems, because of our lifestyle choices in many respects. But doesn't it have far-reaching potential negative impacts on so many aspects of our body, such as our coronary arteries? It can cause coronary artery disease and can cause potentially lead to the development of other serious things like cancer and other forms of heart disease. Is this what we're getting to when we're talking about the impact potentially of oxidative stress on the body?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great question. So, I mean, long term, most disease states are the cumulative effect of, our living over many, many years, and
Mm.
to some extent, the choices that we make over that time. I'm not talking all diseases, right?
Right.
But yes, a lot of long-term chronic issues are the result of these oxidative stressors for one reason or another. Um, I'm going to give a little caveat that when we transition to talking more about the PRISM later, I don't want to leave you with the impression that we're preventing disease or
No.
anything like that. But it does take a toll on our body, and so that's important to keep in mind for sure.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so I don't want to be all gloom and doom. We do have solutions, right? And
Good.
nature is just beautiful in how elegant the solutions are. So, nature's solution to oxidative stress is antioxidants. These are found in all of those healthy foods, the fresh fruits and vegetables, even whole grains and you know, beans and legumes and all kinds of those healthy foods that we need to eat more of, and maybe we don't as often as we should. Those are all excellent sources of antioxidants. And they're full of those antioxidants because those are what help counteract that oxidative stress that our bodies are being bombarded with. And so, this is one reason why it's so important to eat a healthy diet, because those healthy foods are providing you with the solution to help support that health and wellness. So, how does an antioxidant work? Well, I mentioned earlier that oxidative stressors are essentially they're free radicals that are unstable molecules, and they go and want to become more stable, right? And they do that by stealing electrons from your cells and from molecules in your body that are already there. And
Mm.
that causes damage, right? So, an antioxidant's role is to neutralize those free radicals, to donate those electrons, however you want to think of it, to get rid of them and neutralize them so that they can't damage your cells.
Mm.
So they're essentially like your little personal army ready to defend your cells and
Mm.
take out all of the things that were going to harm them.
Great.
Okay, so you've probably seen this in action. Um, if you think of an apple, when the apple is whole, you leave it on your counter for days or maybe even weeks, and it's totally fine. But the minute you cut it in half, it starts to oxidize. You've introduced some damage to that apple. The cells are now damaged, and it starts to oxidize when it gets exposed to the air. And that is just a great example of oxidative stress in action that you can literally watch,
Mm.
right? Obviously, it's not a one-to-one ratio to what's happening in your body, but the principle is still pretty much the same. Now, if you put lemon juice on an apple, you actually slow that process, and that's because lemon juice has vitamin C in it, it has antioxidants, and that actually helps protect the apple from that process. Okay, so there are a ton of different kinds of antioxidants in in nature. And what we really are going to focus on from here on out is one specific type called carotenoids. So, just as a quick background, carotenoids are one class of antioxidants. So if you're not familiar with what they are, that's what they are. They are found in fruits and vegetables, and they're usually found in red, like bright red, orange, and yellow fruits and vegetables,
Mm.
because those are the colors that they impart. And so if you think of a tomato, it's really rich in lycopene. This is one carotenoid that's red. And so that's why the tomato is red. If you have a tomato that's, I don't know, maybe one of the not so good ones that you get at the grocery store that never really ripened properly and it's not very
Mm.
red, it's maybe not, maybe doesn't have as much lycopene as a really, um, a really high quality tomato. So those are not the only fruits and vegetables that have carotenoids, but that's just one kind of indicator. If you pick brightly colored fruits and vegetables, you're good, right? You
Mm.
don't worry too much about the specifics. Just not get a nice variety, and you'll get plenty of carotenoids. So, why are they so important, and why are we focusing on them so much? So, carotenoids have this really unique structure that allows them to neutralize a lot of free radicals. And it
Mm.
allows them to really be kind of like the first line of defense in that protection against oxidative stress. And so if you have a lot of carotenoids, and if you're eating a widely varied diet, you're getting other antioxidants too. So you don't need to worry about like only spiking one piece of your antioxidant
Mm.
network. But those carotenoids really help protect the rest of them so that they can do their job and not get depleted so fast. So, eating a lot of carotenoids is going to be correlated with fruit and vegetable intake. It's going to be correlated with a strong antioxidant network. And it's just generally going to be a good biomarker for health and wellness. And in
Mm.
fact, this is a really recent study I encountered just this year. It was published earlier this year that found a correlation between carotenoids and biological age, or the rate at which people age, according
Mm.
to like certain kinds of uh, phenotyping tests. And I can never remember what the test is called, but essentially it measures how fast people are aging, and they found a really nice correlation between that and carotenoid levels in the body. And so
Mm.
that's just kind of a confirming what we already knew. But it's really cool that even more research is coming out on that today.
It's amazing. It sounds like the group of antioxidants that we're talking about, carotenoids, are almost like a group of super antioxidants. Do they really have superior qualities compared to some other antioxidants?
Well, every antioxidant has its pros and cons, right?
Mm.
Mostly it has its pros, really. They're all good.
Mm.
But they all have the kind of their specialty.
Mm.
And carotenoids in particular are just really good at taking a lot of that free radical damage and neutralizing a lot of oxidative stress. So that's their specialty. It's still important to get a nice variety of
Mhm.
antioxidants, but that's one reason why I think they kind of get the spotlight.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll move into what you might be really here for, and that's the Prism IO. So what if you could measure this your antioxidant levels in 15 seconds? And that's really what Prism IO is all about. It's measuring your carotenoid levels um, to find out what your antioxidant status is, what your carotenoid status is in 15 seconds. And that's so important because as we just learned, right, that's an indicator of kind of where your defenses are at and where your starting point is so that you know and you can make informed choices moving forward on what to improve and what to focus on, right? So this is the official introduction then to Prism
Mhm.
IO. It's an evolution of many, many years in the making. I'm gonna give you just a quick stepping stone, I guess, of where we've come from and where we're going. Um, so, Nu Skin was founded in 1984. We launched with personal care. From there, we acquired Pharmanex in the 90s. We launched our supplement line with Life Pack and, all those products you know and love. And in 2002, we launched the biophotonic scanner. Now, Dan, you alluded to this earlier. This is really where we first entered this space of wellness devices. A lot of people might not realize that we've been in this space for almost 23 years now. Um, and we've learned a lot in that time. So we launched the biophotonic scanner in 2002. Um, from there, we moved on to innovating in gene expression with ageLOC. Um, we started connecting our beauty devices, and now we finally made it to Prism IO. So this has been a long time in the making. Um, we've come a long way since the biophotonic scanner, honestly. Did you have the original S1?
Yes, and we've had the other versions as well, and still have the S3.
Yeah. So the S1 in and of itself was just this phenomenal achievement, right? We took a 10 by 10 room of equipment and got it down to
Mm.
this portable device that hooked up to a big old chunky early 2000s laptop, and it was able to scan carotenoids in your skin. And this was completely unheard of before this. It was brand new. But we didn't stop there, right? We wanted to make it more convenient. We wanted to make it more portable. So we came out with the S2 in 2006-ish, and then the S3 in 2013.
Mm.
And we've been riding the S3 ever since 2013. And it has served us so well. It's a phenomenal device. It scans in 30 seconds, and it hooks up to an iPad. So already big leap in technology from the
Mm.
S1. But if you think about it, that S3 is still 12 years old at this point, right?
Mm.
And technology usually goes on a much faster cycle. It's pretty incredible they've lasted this long. Uh, but one of the challenges we've always had with the S3 is it is a limited device, right? There's a limited number of them. A limited number of people can get their hands on one, and so it actually kind of hinders our ability to spread this to the world, and it hinders our ability to reach more people, right? I mean, you've had access to one and you've
Mm.
done tons and tons of scanning,
Mhm.
but think of how much more we can accomplish if we can get one into everybody's hands.
Yes.
And that was the goal with Prism IO. We needed to rethink the challenges. We needed to solve these problems and really figure out how we can make this more accessible to more people because everyone deserves to know how they're doing, right? Everyone
Mhm.
deserves to know what their carotenoid levels are and where they're at. So that was the goal with Prism IO, and I think are knocking it out of the park.
Mm.
I speak in the present tense because it is a race to see if we can get this out the door by the time everyone wants it. So it's been a mad scramble. I am really happy with where it's at right now. And I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it. So,
We're excited as well.
okay. So as you can see, this is based off of many, many years of research and expertise in the antioxidant space. We've got over 20 years of data from the biophotonic scanner that we're relying on and that we're drawing from. Um, we've got our experience with different beauty and wellness devices. We have a fantastic device team that has just poured their heart and soul into making sure this is the best it can be. And we also have research that's ongoing on both the PRYSM IO and, you know, as part of the development process. So from I think I think it was last year. Yeah. Last year we ran a study on LifePak with an early prototype of PRISM IO to really understand the correlation between how it performed compared to the scanner. And that study was published and presented at the American Society of Nutrition this year.
Mm.
So we are working on a clinical bulletin. It's almost done, and I'll be sure and share it with you once we have that so that you can
Great.
spread the word. But the results of that were really fantastic. This is a picture of our director of research and development who presented. This is actually not the same poster. That's a poster on a different topic, but
Mm.
so really, really cool study. Um, as I mentioned before, this is um, a quick scan. So the S3 was 30 seconds. Now we're down to
Mm.
15
Mm.
without sacrificing, quality or accuracy. It can go now fit in your pocket, making it even more portable, more accessible, more affordable, and easier for you to share. So, we really envision this as something that we can share with the world that everyone can have either in their house or that they can take with them to their friend's house to share that way,
Mm.
whatever works for you best, right? Okay, now I'm gonna get a little bit more technical and
Good.
definitely jump in if you have any questions here.
Okay.
Um, there are basically two pieces to the Prism IO in terms of how it works. There's the hardware side and then there's the software side.
Mm.
And so this is sort of like a summary of how the two come together, but I'll talk about each one individually because I think it's important to understand like kind of how it all fits, right?
Mm.
So with the biophotonic scanner, it was really heavy on the hardware side and a little bit lighter on the software side. And we've had to shift that because we're so limited in space with a prism. We want it to be super small, super portable. We had to rethink how that works. So the hardware is fairly straightforward. It's actually extremely complicated, to be honest, but it looks straightforward. Um, it relies a lot on physics, and I will tell you, I do not understand all the physics
Mm.
involved, but we have a whole team of experts that have figured it out for us. So
Good.
um, we basically have five LEDs that are in the device, and they shine a light through the little window on top, and you put your finger on that window and the light hits your finger and then it bounces back, it reflects back. And we have two photodiodes. We have one that measures the light going to the finger and one that measures the light coming back.
Mm.
And that is essentially all we really need on a hardware side to get this measurement. And so we measure what goes out, we measure what comes back, and we can use that to calculate what percent, or not what percent, but what concentration of carotenoids are in your skin. And this is possible because carotenoids interact with light in a very specific way that you can actually measure.
Mm.
And so that's where the physics comes in because every kind of carotenoid reacts a very specific way to light, to different wavelengths of light. And so if you understand how that all interacts and how that all works, then you can convert it into something usable like your score. And that's really where the software side comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we just get the data back raw from all of that light and from those photodiodes, it doesn't mean anything. And so the software takes that information and it puts it through an algorithm that is informed by AI and informed by all of our, expertise on the Raman side from the biophotonic scanner. And those two combined with the hardware give you your score. So in a short, pithy way of explaining how it works, you put your finger on the device and it shines a light on it. And based off how that light interacts with your finger, it can spit out a score. But the cool thing is that because we have this algorithm, we can actually update it over time as we learn more and as we improve and get better and better. And so it's great now, but it will only get better from here on out, right? We can expand, we can improve, we can refine, if you will.
And we get asked that question frequently, Rebecca, and that is, what would the expansion look like? Would it include measuring other elements besides carotenoids?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. It's one I've gotten already too. And the answer is that we really need to do more exploration to know for sure.
Mm,
You can do a lot with LED lights. If you think about if you've ever worn an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring or any like thing like
mm,
that, I mean, we know they can measure heart rate pretty accurately and some other things. And so it would not surprise me if we can expand into other areas, but I don't want to promise anything because we
mm.
have to make sure that the technology is robust enough and the science is there to really support the accuracy of it. So,
Of course.
okay. So this is just a little demo of what you do. If you're going to scan,
Mm,
you press that power button, the device turns on, it starts to blink, you put your finger on it. You want to make sure you're covering that whole aperture where the light's
mm,
coming out. It will scan for 15 seconds, and once it finishes scanning, one of those LEDs that's circling right around here will light up and start blinking, and that's your score. Now, it doesn't give you a number on the device. There will be an app that accompanies this device that will give you
mm,
your score number. But even if you just have the device, you can still get a pretty good idea of where you're
mm,
at, right? The red side is low. You don't really want to be on the red side if you can help it. It goes all the
mhm,
way up to purple. And as a general rule of thumb, higher is better.
mm,
But don't get too hung up on comparing yourself to someone else. Because really, you want to compare yourself to yourself. You want to scan, you want to change, you want to improve something in
mhm,
your life, and then you want to scan again and you want to see how much that impacts your score. See how much it impacts your life, right? That's the goal here. I don't love it when people compare my score to your score. We're two different people. We have two
right.
different lives, right? I want to live my best life, and I'm never going to be living your life because that's not how it works, right?
Exactly. Let's say I haven't taken LifePak Nano, for instance, ever. I'm a new individual. I'm a new potential customer, and I get scanned at a certain level. Maybe I'm in the red zone. How long typically would it take for that LifePak Nano to create an improved score?
That's a great question. I would say there's going to be variation from person to person, but in general, you'll start to see your score go up after maybe 4 weeks. And by 8 weeks, you'll definitely see an improvement and it will keep going up from there. I think with
Okay.
LifePak Nano, our study showed improvement over 16 weeks and it hadn't tapered off yet. A lot of
Mm,
times with products, you'll get a nice incline over, 3 or 4 months, and then you kind of maximize how much that is going to impact your score. And then you
mhm,
you might not improve after that as long as you keep taking it, but you'll maintain that score, right? So just generally in that time frame though, anywhere from 1 to 3-ish months.
At the very least, it's going to show that your products that you're taking are working, right? As long as they're
Yes.
scanner certified products from the PharmaNex line.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really one of the, I think, biggest reasons why people will benefit from this is they'll see what is working from their supplement routine, they'll see what's working from their diet and from their lifestyle choices and how that all adds together and interacts and what changes are making it the most difference, really.
Excellent.
So, okay, well, I kind of went through this already, so I'm not going to go through it again. But I do want to give some best
Hmm.
practices so that you
Hmm.
get the best experience with your Prism IO. You want it on a flat level surface. You want to scan the center of your fingertip as close to the center as you can. And you really want to try and get like the same spot as close as you can. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of variation from scan to
Hmm.
scan, but try and get it pretty much in the same spot if you can. You want your finger to be clean and dry. That's going to make a fairly large difference.
Hmm.
Um, you want the device to be clean. In fact, it'll come with a microfiber cloth. So clean it off after every scan
Hmm.
because you don't want any smudges there interfering with that. Um, and make sure your finger fully covers the light. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Right hand or left hand? Does it matter?
I would do the same finger each time, but
Mm.
beyond that, not so much.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure people are going to scan every finger just to see how it differs. And you totally can because you'll have it in your house, right?
Right.
But just know if you want to compare now to a month from now or
Mm.
whatever,
Mm.
you got to compare the same piece of skin,
Right.
right? That's going to minimize the variability. That's going to give you the most accurate um, ability to see what is actually making that difference. Because if you scan one finger and then
Mm.
you scan a different finger, well, how much of the change in score is the finger and how much of it,
Mm.
right? So,
Children
anyway,
too?
yeah, kids can scan, absolutely. I
Yeah.
will say with a little caveat, you might, with little kids, you might have a hard
Mm.
time making sure their finger is fully covering
Right.
um, that. And we're doing some testing to kind of make sure we can minimize the impact of that, but you might have to be a little bit more careful. But
Hmm.
yes, kids absolutely can scan. Um, and I have actually seen the user manual and it says keep out of reach of pets, but I kind of also have this strange desire to scan my pets as well. So, um, you didn't hear it from me though. This is more scientific curiosity than anything.
We'll call that an off-label use of the device, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, this is the study I mentioned earlier, right? The study with the prototype
Mm.
Prism IO compared to the S3. We gave people LifePak for 3 months and we measured them on both devices. So we measured their palm on the scanner S3
Mhm.
and we measured their fingertip with the Prism IO. And we just wanted to see, like, do their scores increase the same amount? Do they increase around the same rate? Right? Are people's experiences going to be fairly similar, moving from one device to another? And by and large, the answer was yes. We
Mm.
saw really good correlations between the two. Um, the average scanner score and Prism score was pretty similar, I think within 3%.
Mm.
Um, and so this was all on like the poster that we presented at Nutrition 2025. But
Great.
uh, yeah. Okay. I want to briefly cover, I know I'm kind of going a little long, so stop me if you
Take
need
your
me to.
time. No, this is fascinating. Thank you so much.
Okay, so there's four main things that we in our research have seen really impact your score the most.
Mm.
And so I just want to cover really fast so that you understand kind of what is having probably the biggest impact on score. And those four things are fitness, so body composition or BMI, When we looked at, we have a database of 21 million scans that we've
Mhm.
collected from the biophotonic scanner. When we look at that database, people with a higher BMI generally have a lower score. And
Mm.
so how fit or how good your body composition is going to have an impact. Uh, Levels of oxidative stress, right? So your exposure to different stressors are going to have an impact. Smoking is the big one we've collected data on. It's not the only one that's been studied, but it's probably the one of the best studied. Um, People who smoke have lower scores. People
Mm.
who used to smoke have lower scores, but not as low as current smokers, right? And so you see this trend of the more you're introducing oxidative stress to your body, the lower your score tends to be.
Mm.
Similar types of data have been collected on sun exposure. So, in third party research, when we look at sun exposure, the more sun exposure you have without sunscreen, the lower your skin carotenoid levels tend to be. That's another source of oxidative stress.
Mm.
Uh, Diet is another big one. So, fruit and vegetable intake in particular, if you have higher fruit and vegetable intake, you have a higher score. Lower fruit and vegetable intake, lower score, right?
Mm.
That makes sense. That's where you're getting your carotenoids from primarily. And so, you know, it's kind of a very logical conclusion. And then last but definitely not least is supplementation, right? If we can supplement with high quality products, um, especially ones that are providing a broad spectrum of carotenoids, you're going to see improvements in scanner score. So So let's take a look at that database and see in action what those different choices have or what impact they have on average score. So this is the average distribution of scores that we've collected over the years.
Mm.
You can see most people, the average scores kind of in the orange.
Wow.
We don't want to be average. We want to be
Nope.
above average.
I'm gonna be purple.
That's right. So, okay. So if you take someone who has low BMI, or sorry, high BMI,
Mm.
smokes, low fruit and vegetable intake, and never supplements, this is the average distribution.
Mm.
You can see it's a pretty dramatic shift.
Mm.
Um, so we're going to leave an outline of that curve for future reference. Now, if we change that and we move to people who do not smoke, you see it go up a little bit.
Mhm.
So take out that variable, you see improvement. Uh, BMI is now normal. You see a little bit more improvement.
Mm.
You up their fruit and vegetable intake, gets even
Mm.
better. And if they start supplementing, it gets better still.
Mm.
And so you can see the cumulative effect of all of your choices on your average scores over this big population, right? This is 21 million scans overall. Obviously, we have to take subsets of the data to get these, but we're still looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of scans um, to see these trends and these patterns. Um, oh, and if you take Life Pack twice a day, it gets even better than that.
Ah,
So,
amazing. And no other company has this data, needless to say,
no,
right?
no, this is all stuff we've collected over the years.
Hmm.
Fully anonymized, of course. I get a lot of data privacy questions too. So
Sure.
we have a whole team of people to take care of that. So you don't need to worry about that either.
Good.
So I just want to like summarize, right? If we
Mm.
can minimize our exposure to oxidative stressors as best we can, um, try and eat a healthier diet full of fruits and vegetables, try and maintain a healthy body weight, um, and really add in supplementation strategically to target the specific issues that we struggle with. You can really maximize and see the impact that these all have on your scanner score, on your PRYSM score.
Excellent.
So, speaking of, these are
Hmm.
all of our scanner certified products that we talked about a year ago. Um, there's a new addition. We've recently launched M Smart, and so
Hmm.
that one's new to this family, but happy to come on another time and give a refresher if anyone wants to learn more about any of these.
Excellent. We certainly will take you up on that offer. Thank you. Quick question. For
Yeah.
those of us in the population, I count myself as one of those people who have an absorption problem with carotenoids, and our scan score seems artificially low, even though we do everything. We take all the products, et cetera. Do you have any recommendations for how to further increase that score?
Well, focusing, of course, on those four areas is going to be critical. Um,
Mm,
but I will say too that carotenoids are a fat soluble molecule, and so they do tend to get absorbed better with a little bit of fat in the food you're eating with it. I'm
mm,
not saying a high fat diet, but I'm saying if you're eating something, um, that has a little bit of healthy fats in it, that might help with absorption. I know a lot of people see better improvements with some products than others. And so you might find that you absorb some carotenoids better than others. Um, and I have to give a little plug for G3. It is um, kind of a great option because it is already kind of dissolved in a fatty acid matrix. So you do generally get pretty good absorption with that. Com I don't want to say compared to other products here, but like for people who struggle, they might find that that one is a little bit easier on their body, I guess.
good to know. Thank you.
So, okay. And then I just want to touch briefly. I mentioned there's an app.
Mhm.
It's not out yet, but it will be, and it will have the ability for you to see your exact score. It will have a lot of information about what you can do to improve your score and things like that. So we really wanted to make this more of an education opportunity instead of just like a sales pitch, if you will, right? We
Mhm.
want people to be healthier. We want them to find ways to improve their lifestyle, and supplementation is a piece of that, but it's not the only piece, right? It's part of that four quadrant uh, slide that I showed. So,
Mhm.
okay, that is all I have. I always talk too long, but do you have any other questions for me?
Yes, everyone is asking, can we get our hands on these slides?
That is a good question. So the exact slide deck I shared, probably not. But I do think there is a similar slide deck on our asset library on, I believe it's media.newskin.com that you can download. So if you go out there and search for Prism IO, you should be able to find it. And that's probably the best slide deck that I know of that is currently available for all of you wonderful people.
Excellent, excellent. Moments before this broadcast started, Rebecca, our executive producer, Cindy DeMay, she wanted to make sure that I had in my hot little hand something that looks like this. Are you familiar with this? This little bag that has a device in it called, oh gosh, it's a
Ooh,
Prism IO. Look at that. How cool is that? And
you are you
she
are so
wanted
lucky.
He wanted to make sure that everyone in our audience had the ability to see that this device is so portable and amazing and is something that is really cool and fun to use, but also so informative because as we have scanned ourselves at home and our friends and our family members, we have gotten tremendous feedback from everyone who has benefited from this because they say, oh my gosh, what's my score? I want to get it higher. What do I need to do to make that happen? And instantly, people are attracted to the solutions that we have to offer by way of the products. And it really is a benefit to our business. It's been so exciting to use in just a short period of time that we've had it. And it's really creating a lot of interest and a lot of volume, frankly. So it's exciting. I know it's going to be a tremendous benefit for people who take advantage of it. And that's coming soon. It's going to be like a preview launch at the convention, the live convention, just a couple weeks from now, and then later this year, and then certainly more broadly in 2026. So this is a tremendous addition to our arsenal of amazing tools to build our businesses worldwide. So thank you to you and your team for bringing that to us and to you in particular for sharing that great information today. And we know that so many things are coming down the road with great, great improvements to our business, our opportunity, and this biophotonic scanner next generation, way, way, way beyond the biophotonic scanner, in my view, is light years beyond the scanner, is really going to be able to help us improve our businesses worldwide. So, any final thoughts before I make a few announcements for our audience, Rebecca Major?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on, and I am
Mhm.
so excited to see what you all do with this device. It has massive potential, and it is such just really cool, honestly, from a scientific perspective. So,
It is real. That's a scientific term. Really cool indeed. It is. Absolutely. Well, I want to tell our audience if you've been watching us on Facebook, give us your comments, your feedback. I'm looking at the feed right now. It's just phenomenal. People are just blowing up the feed. They love this information, Rebecca, and your presentation is just superb. So thank you so much. And make sure that everyone hears about this. Share this with your teams. They need to hear about Rebecca's presentation, see what's going on, see what the benefits are of this amazing device, PRYSM IO. Now, our next broadcast next week will take place on a special date and time. That's Saturday, October 18 at 12 noon, New York time, with European team lead executive Lars Kroll. Lars is a tremendously successful entrepreneur in the industry, and you're going to really enjoy hearing his story and his tips for success. So, no broadcast next Thursday, the 16th. Instead, we're going to be joined by Lars on Saturday, the 18th at 12 noon. Mark your calendar. And then the following week, many of us will be joining Rebecca and the other corporate team at the home office in Provo for the North America Live 2025 convention. That's October 23rd to 25th in Provo. We'll be live streaming from that convention on this Axle Me Facebook page, so check it out. And for Axle Me members who will be attending the convention, mark your calendar for a special wrap-up breakfast on Saturday, October 25th at 8 a.m. in Provo. Now, please RSVP by sending a private message to Cindy DeMay on Messenger to let her know that you'll be joining us for that wrap-up breakfast. And then Cindy and I will be back on our regular Thursday broadcast schedule on October 30th, 8 p.m. for a full recap of the convention. So mark your calendar for all these great events. We're going to be so fully engaged in the next several weeks and months to come, to be sure, as we explode the world with PRYSM IO. Thanks again to Rebecca Major for your incredible contribution today. Thanks to our amazing executive producer, Cindy DeMay, for booking Rebecca and her incredible Class A list of guest speakers. And thanks to everyone for watching. We'll see you on the 18th with Lars Kroll. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Rebecca. Bye-bye.